So what I thought I'd do is I'd go through how I prepare my salted mackerel. Now, the reason I like salted mackerel is it really is a very versatile bait. I like it for a number of reasons. One, it lasts a long time, even when you're on a session, and you could be in the middle of summer and it won't deteriorate the same as mackerel that's not kept in a cool box. And you know, in the summertime your cool blocks melt and the heat still builds up. But because the moisture's been removed by the salt, it doesn't deteriorate the same, and it still stays firm and it still stays on your hook, and that's really important, I think. Another reason I like using salted mackerel is you can prepare it well in advance, and another reason for its versatility is you can have it all prepped before you come to the beach. No need to take chopping boards, knives, and chopping up mackerel on the beach, or waiting until it's defrosted, etc, etc. And because it's ready to put on the hook, another reason I like it is because I like fishing in the surf. I don't like walking up the beach all the time to my tackle box or my bag. When I'm in the surf, I just want to rebait when I'm in the surf rather than walking back and forward all the time. So yeah, it's a superb bait. Now when I do my salted mackerel, I cut it into little strips, and I cut it into centimetre cubes. So how do I prepare the mackerel? Well, first of all, in the summertime, guys, you go out and catch mackerel for bait. One, it's more exciting than buying it, and two, catching your own mackerel reduces the strain in commercial fishing, and there's enough of that already. Go and catch your own, guys. Don't buy it, and don't add to the cogs that are keeping the commercial wheels turning. Once you've caught your mackerel, you can do one or two things. You can fillet them when they're fresh and then salt them, or you can just put them in the freezer. Don't gut them, they'll dry out a lot quicker if you gut them. Put them in the freezer until you're ready to prepare them for salting. Now, the batch that I'm demonstrating, these mackerel were frozen about 8 months prior to doing this little demo. And all you do, guys, is take your mackerel out the freezer, just let them defrost very slightly, just enough so you can pass a sharp knife through them so that you can fillet them. Take a fillet off each side of your mackerel, and then what I like to do is salt them in either a plastic container or a glass dish. If you use metal, obviously that can react with the metal and the salt. Put a layer of salt in the bottom of your dish, lay your mackerel into the dish, and then cover that with salt, and then repeat that until you fill your dish with mackerel, or you use the mackerel that you've filleted. Once the mackerel is completely covered in salt, and I use fine sea salt for salting my mackerel. You can use just plain table salt. It's probably a lot cheaper than sea salt. Once your mackerel is completely covered in salt, put it in the refrigerator. Put it in the refrigerator for a minimum of 24 hours. After 24 hours, the majority of the moisture is actually removed from the fillets, and when you touch the salt, it should feel damp or wet, meaning that salt is withdrawing the moisture from your fillets. I like to leave it in the fridge for 48 hours just so it firms up even more. The mackerel does rehydrate when it's in the water, no problem, it softens up. So I like to do it for 40 hours. But a minimum of 24 is ideal. Just brush a little bit of the excess salt off, put your fillets on a chopping board, and using a sharp filleting knife. What I like to do is I like to take the belly strip off first so it leaves a sort of rectangular shape that's left on the thick part of the mackerel. The thick part is what I use for cubes, and the belly meat or the belly strip I use for additional mackerel strips. With the belly strips, I just cut that into little fine strips, put to one side, and with that rectangular shape that's left, the thicker part of the mackerel, depending on how big it is, I either cut it in half lengthwise so that each strip is about 1 centimetre thick. If it is really thick, obviously just cut it into thirds again so that each strip is about 1 centimetre thick. Once I've done that, I start cubing it, and again 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre, and that is your cubes ready to go for your hook. Once you've prepared all your mackerel, I just put the mackerel usually into a little sieve off some of the excess salt that's damp, and I put the cubes in one bag and maybe the strips in another, and I'll put fresh salt into that, and I'll put it straight into the freezer, and it'll remain in the freezer until I'm ready to use it. These ones were done about 6 months ago and have been in salt all that time, and yeah, they're quite dry when they come out the freezer, but again, they rehydrate in the water really quickly, and they're just a top bait. So give it a try, guys, if you've never done it before, and I hope that helps you out.